I love this country, which I believe was established with the blessings of God. I love its Constitution, whose principles I believe were divinely inspired. I'm therefore distressed at the way we are handling the national issues that divide us. We've always had to work through serious political conflicts, but today too many approach that task as if their preferred outcome must entirely prevail over all others, even in our pluralistic society. We need to work for a better way, a way to resolve differences without compromising core values. We need to live together in peace and mutual respect within our defined constitutional rights. I begin with a proposition that I hope all will share. As a practical basis for coexistence, we should accept the reality that we are fellow citizens who need each other. This requires us to accept some laws we dislike and to live peacefully with some whose personal values differ from our own. Amid such inevitable differences, we should make every effort to understand the experiences and concerns of others, especially when they differ from our own. We can only succeed in this effort to the extent that we acknowledge and respect each other's highest ideals and human experiences. We must not be part of what Professor Arthur C. Brooks of Harvard's Kennedy School describes as a culture of contempt, a habit of seeing people who disagree with us not as merely incorrect or misguided, but as worthless, end of quote. A basic step is to avoid labeling our adversaries with epithets such as godless or bigots. As the Deseret News, a paper published by the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, editorialized, and I quote, "Conflicts between religious liberty and non-discrimination principles are exacerbated when advocates for non-discrimination paint people of faith as bigots, and when people of faith fail to appreciate the brutal history of the basic human rights of marginalized groups. When some advocates voice insults or practice other minor provocations, both sides should ignore them. Our society already has too many ugly confrontations. If we answer back, we tend to mirror the insult. A better response is that of the late Chief Rabbi, Lord Jonathan Sacks. When he agreed to meet with a staunch atheist who detested everything he held sacred, the rabbi was asked whether he would try to convert him. "No," he answered. "I'm going to do something much better than that. I'm going to listen to him." End of quote. I will now suggest some important principles that will help avoid potential pitfalls as we attempt to go forward. Where there is genuine conflict, one constitutional right should not be invoked to try to cancel another constitutional right. Both must be balanced legally and negotiated politically in a way that upholds essential rights to the greatest extent possible. In doing so, people of faith should not assume that those who advocate non-discrimination have no regard for religious freedom, or that non-discrimination lacks any constitutional basis. Similarly, those who advocate non-discrimination should not assume that those asserting claims of religious freedom are seeking a license to discriminate. Good faith negotiation invites that seldom appreciated virtue so necessary to democracy: tolerance, free of bigotry toward those whose opinions or practices differ from our own. But learning to live with significant differences requires much more than tolerance. Dr. Alwi Shihab, the Indonesian President's special envoy to the Middle East and the Organization of Islamic Cooperation, made this point in an address to the faculty and students at Brigham Young University. Relying on the teachings of the Quran, he said, quote, "We must respect this God-given dignity in every human being, even in our enemies. For the goal of all human relations, whether they are religious, social, political, or economic, ought to be cooperation and mutual respect," end of quote. Thus, he added, quote, We must go beyond tolerance if we are to achieve harmony in the world. End of quote. Followers of Christ also have a duty to seek harmony. Where there are conflicts, all should seek peace.